Hello, guys. How we doing tonight? Well, it's going to be a quiet one tonight, guys. I just saw Roberta Glass going live with a hot topic at the moment. Donna Adelson. I guess she must have seen last night's show here on True Crime Metrics and thought she better jump on that hot potato wagon that we have now set. We've set a new standard in the metrics world. We've broken 3 or 4 or 5 records on our channel. It's a super successful video. Huge number of subscribers today, guys. I mean, I don't know if it's huge by other people's standards, but we've had about 65 subscribers in less than 24 hours. That's definitely the highest we've ever had. I guess those big channels get that all the time, but Little Metrics over here is very happy to have so many new people all aboard this gravy train, okay? What are we doing tonight, guys? Well, we know what Roberta's doing. She's copying us. Just kidding, Roberta. We love your show. I'm super upset that I'm going to miss the live because I'm here on my own with my people, but I'm going to come back for the playback, for the replay, and check it out. Because it's all going Donna Adelson at the moment, isn't it, guys? What are we doing on this channel, on this great channel? We are looking at a couple of witnesses, at least a couple of witnesses from the Charlie Adelson trial. Where are we? Let's start sharing a tab. Ryan Fitzpatrick. Who is Ryan Fitzpatrick? Well, he's the former friend of Charlie Adelson and former business associate who was being sued, had his, they were in a shady business deal together, like all of the Adelson business deals. And Ryan Fitzpatrick was supposed to be collecting the money. He was the henchman, the money man that they sent in to get paid. And he pocketed some of the money or whatever it was. I really should have done some proper research on the working pattern history between Charlie and Ryan. But we're just going to, why break a habit? Let's go with no preparation at all and just see what happens. And we're also going to be looking at the testimony of Stephen Webster, not Weber, like everyone told me yesterday in the chat. Both of these witnesses are pretty much by subscriber request, guys. So we're not sure how much time that's going to eat up. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick is a pretty quick witness, and I can't remember Stephen Webster. I've only seen him once. It's probably the only witness that I've only seen once in the Charlie Adelson trial, but that's what we're here for, right? Yeah, in researching Ryan Fitzpatrick, I was looking for a picture to use on our very artistic thumbnail. Thank you so much for the kind comments, C. Malone and where was the other comment? California Amy. Really appreciate that, guys. That's nice. Yeah, but I was looking for a picture and I found this guy, a quarterback for the Buffalo. What's the team in Buffalo? I forget. But it was also the Jets and the Rams. Let's have a look if we can share this tab here. Present, share screen, browse. Yeah, look at this guy. Where was the picture? This one. Look at that. What is going on there? Man, I don't know where his hair ends and beard begins. It's almost like his face doesn't matter anymore, right? It's like a small woodland creature that lives in a burrow under a tree. I just thought it was amazing, almost a work of art, right? But that, and it doesn't look super unlike the Ryan Fitzpatrick from our story, like these pictures. I was thinking, well, maybe that is him. He's about the same kind of build, right? But no, that's just another guy with the same name. Is he famous? I'd never heard of him before, but I don't follow the NFL, obviously. Anyway, back to what we're here for. Enough of this football beard talk. We're on Charlie Adelson trial tonight, guys. There he is. Look at him. Oh, hang on. Audio problem. You see, at least I'm noticing these guys before these problems before they really turn into a problem, guys. Now, first off, dressing awareness. We've already seen Charlie Adelson with a crooked tie. Now he's got half his shirt collar out of the lapel of his jacket, his blazer. Why? I have never let that happen to me unless I was passed out drunk, you know? And even then, I try to check myself. You're in court, man. You're in court. It's a special occasion. Tuck that friggin' collar into your lapel. Oh, and get some ties with some contrast. I am not a fan of ties that can disappear into your shirt. He's already worn that blue tie that was the same color as his shirt. Now he's got sort of Arctic silver on white. Don't like it. I guess it's to match his pale complexion. Hello and welcome to everyone in the chat. Angie, Kerry, Rabbit, Udi, C. Malone, Old Pueblo Hops. Who else we got here? Good to see you guys. Dispatcher 187. Nice. Great comments last night, Dispatcher. Okay, so let's kick this show up. Good levels tonight, guys. Hey, KLK. Thanks so much for your coffee today. We had a fantastic coffee and even had enough for a chocolate croissant.
Please raise your right hand, sir. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
Yes, sir.
You may take your seat.
Sir, please say your name and spell your name.
Ryan Fitzpatrick, Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Where do you live, sir?
Lantana, Florida.
And what line of work are you in?
I'm in roofing now.
Okay. Do you or do
In roofing, do you think he's the guy that's going up on the roof with the roof tiles? Or is it just like a, what do you call it? What do you call those businesses? A front for his money laundering, steroid dealing business. I mean, I'm in roofing now. Yeah, where's my roofing hammer? Where's my tool belt?
did you at some time
Has anyone seen my ladder?
have a relationship with Charlie Adelson?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you guys friends?
Yes, ma'am.
How close were you?
Very close.
What time frame were you close friends with Charlie Adelson?
From about the time that I moved to South Florida and around about 2012. And then as years passed, we grew a lot closer.
Until when?
Till about 2018, 19-ish.
All right. Did you spend a lot of time together?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you talk to him daily?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you know his family?
Yes, ma'am.
Meet his girlfriends?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, can you
Could anyone imagine talking to Charlie Adelson daily? We know he speaks to Donna daily Donna, but you know, that's just because they've got this weird sort of, we're a couple, but she's my mom kind of vibe going on, right? That's expected. Donna's more than happy about that. But anyone else? Like if Charlie phoned me up on a Wednesday and chatted to me about some scheme he was doing or some girl he was chasing, or, you know, and then phone me again on Thursday, I wouldn't answer. I would not answer the phone. It would be like, you know, temporary block.
do you see him here in the courtroom today?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Would you point him out and describe what he's wearing?
Blue suit, light blue tie, white shirt.
Let the record reflect the witness has identified the defendant.
The record will reflect.
Was the defendant, Mr. Adelson, very close to his sister Wendy?
Yes, ma'am.
If you know, how did the Adelson family feel about Dan Markel?
Not fond.
And did that include Charlie Adelson?
Not fond, like conspire to murder. Not fond. Not fond. That's a little vague, Ryan. Can we delve into that a bit? What do you mean not fond? Like not fond, like they would get him an unthoughtful present at Christmas or Hanukkah. You know, like just a standard sort of world's greatest lawyer mug, something like that.
Yes, ma'am.
I mentioned the girlfriends. Did Mr. Adelson have a lot of girlfriends?
Yes, ma'am.
Was one of them Catherine?
The real unthoughtful gift for the Adelsons to get to give to Dan would be a mug that said "the world's greatest dentist." You know that they probably have 1,000 of them in their house.
Magbanua.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever have an occasion to meet her?
I think in passing I might have met her once or twice, but I didn't have a personal relationship with her, no.
Did she stand out to you as being someone special or of more importance to him than any of the other women in his life?
Objection leading.
Sustain. Please rephrase your question.
It's a yes or no question. Did she stand out to him?
Hang on. What was the question? Because I really want to keep an eye on Daniel Rashbaum's objections, okay? Because half of this is looking at old news, guys, but I'm also monitoring Daniel Rashbaum's tactics for Donna's trial, because we're going to have a few predictions about Donna's trial soon, and even Wendy's trial. I know that might be a little bit premature, but sometimes we're late to the party and sometimes we're early. But I've been having these thoughts about Wendy, right? And what her defense is going to be whenever that happens. And I think we're going to see something amazing, okay? She's going to actually have a good attorney, right? That's concerning. And I think that she's known all along, all this time, she's had plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, all the way down to Q, and it ends at Q. But yeah, so we're going to be keeping an eye on Rashbaum, basically.
Life.
Objection leading.
Special.
A relationship with her, no.
Did she stand out to you as being someone special or of more importance to him than any of the other women in his life?
Objection.
That's not leading, is it? Did she stand out as being someone special to him? You could just say no.
Objection leading.
Sustain. Please rephrase your question.
But on the other hand, I have to respect Stephen Everett because he's been an impeccable judge, right? So it must be leading. Okay.
It's a yes or no question. Did she stand out to him as being somehow special or different from the other women in his life?
No, ma'am.
Are you familiar with the defendant's practice of stapling his money?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know the denominations or how he would staple it?
10 100s would be 1,000. Easier to count that way.
At the time that Dan Markel was murdered, how did you learn of the murder?
I can't remember. They never spoke about it, so.
And when you say they never spoke about it, who was
The
that?
family never spoke of it.
So you didn't learn about the murder from your close friend?
I do not believe so, no. Not directly.
Right after the murder, did Mr. Adelson tell you that his girlfriend, Catherine Magbanua, was extorting money out of him?
No, ma'am.
Does that seem like something he would have mentioned to you?
Yes, ma'am. Probably. I imagine so.
When law enforcement posing as a thug approached his mother in what we're referring to as the bump, did he tell you about that?
I don't recall, no, ma'am.
He didn't tell you that he thought that the person that approached his mother was either the FBI or someone posing as Rivera's brother?
I can't remember if Charlie directly said that to me or not. So I don't know. It's been so long.
Okay. Did he ever make a statement to you about murder?
Charlie, as you've heard in testimony and depots, that he made a lot of tasteless jokes. And he said something along the lines of, you can get away with anything, you can get away with murder if you keep your mouth shut.
When was that statement made?
Jeez, years ago.
Before or after this murder?
It would be after.
Was his behavior after, are you familiar with the arrest that occurred in May? May of 2016, I should have clarified.
Katie's arrest?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
And did his behavior change at that point?
Yes, ma'am.
And did he seem relieved and less stressed out after she got arrested?
No, ma'am, he did not.
What was his demeanor after her arrest?
Nervousness, agitation, stress.
So he seemed to get more.
Hi JC, how you doing? Hey guys in the chat, does anyone know if steroids, if you take a load of steroids, does it make your voice really deep? Because this guy is like baritone, right? I mean, his neck is so thick, it must be like an echo chamber for his voice. Almost like those trumpets with the extra bit on them.
More stressed out after she was out.
Yes, ma'am.
Was he weird like that before, like between the time of the murder and the time of Catherine McDonough's arrest?
To say he was weird.
Like that, like the
No,
behaviors you just
no,
described?
ma'am, not that weird.
All right. And are you familiar with some barbed wire that he had around his residence?
No, but I kind of like that idea.
When was the last time you were?
Why is he laughing so much at that? Are you familiar with some barbed wire he had around his residence? What, so that he can't get out? He really laughed at that.
At his residence at, the name is escaping me, Whale Harbor.
It's Whale Harbor. Whale Harbor, Georgia. Come on, Georgia. Don't let us down now, Georgia.
It would had to have been around probably the summer of 2018.
Okay. And when you were out there, when you were at his residence in the summer of 2018, did y'all use the pool area?
Yes, ma'am.
He's got a nice grotto style pool out there.
Very nice. Yes, ma'am.
And did you observe when you were out there barbed wire around this perimeter of the pool?
No, I don't think so. No, ma'am.
All right. What about weapons? Did Charlie Adelson frequently carry or have weapons around him?
Charlie had a gun. Yes.
Where did the gun stay, if you know? On his person, in the safe, bedside table?
I mean, I didn't know what his regular practice was, but I can imagine he would put it by his bed when he slept.
All right. Was that just the one gun that you were aware of, or did he have a bunch of guns?
I believe he had more, but I can't testify to that.
Okay. So when you were in the residence, there weren't guns laid out in the residence?
Not like my house, no.
Did you have a falling out of some kind?
So Ryan Fitzpatrick, has guns in the fridge, and he has one in a special pocket on the side of the couch in the living room. I mean, what has he just got? A gun, 7 guns on the coffee table. Why is that a thing? I mean, I can understand having a gun or a few guns, in your house. Yeah, all right. You're allowed to do that. But all over the house, I mean, just seems like unnecessary hazard. I don't know.
Time with Mr. Adelson?
Yes, ma'am.
When did that occur?
I would say about the last time that I recall vaguely being at his residence, probably about the summer of 2018.
Okay. And you guys have filed lawsuits against each other or just one direction?
Charlie had filed a lawsuit against myself and others. It's since been dismissed. So,
All right. And so you don't like the guy anymore. Fair to say?
I mean, he's not a big fan. No.
Okay. And have you said some ugly things about him on social media and that sort of thing?
I've said it to him.
All right. And are you here to try to bring him down?
No, I don't want to be here at all.
Were you here pursuant to a subpoena?
Yes, ma'am.
One moment, please.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be here. He's in Leon County with no gun. He had to give up his gun to come into court. He needs to get back to Miami and then get a plane to the Virgin Islands to meet some chicks, some young chicks. Yeah, Albert, I saw that thing. Albert says Judy, AA Legal Focus, interviewed him on her channel. Very suspicious when a male friend pounded on his door asking for steroids. He claimed he didn't sell or do steroids, yet the look on his face. Yeah, I heard Roberta mention that, and she thought it was a setup, a prank, a joke. I kind of thought it was, but I don't know. I never looked into it. But yeah, if it was a joke, it was kind of funny.
Right, I'm gonna approach.
There you go. Rabbit's got the facts, guys. Rabbit's got the facts.
When was this? Do you know?
Hugh Hefner says that he's way on the masculine side, like he went through puberty twice. Yeah, no, I think he's currently transitioning to a third gender. He's transitioning to the new gender, macho sapien. He's a macho sapien, almost. Another 3 weeks, another 2 more injections, and he'll be a full macho sapien.
Did you give a deposition in this case previously,
In Catherine's case, yes.
back in 2021?
I believe so, yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm gonna approach and have you read page 46 and 47.
There's no question, so I don't know if she's refreshing.
Yeah, I'm gonna refresh your recollection of your deposition.
There's no question to refresh.
Did you say that he told you about the bump?
Oh, actually, that's the first time I've seen Rashbaum actually do anything useful. Let's check that again. That's a moment in time, folks. Never before seen. Daniel Rashbaum actually noticed something and made an appropriate objection.
Approach and have you read page 46 and 47.
One moment, Mr. Roosevelt.
There's no question, so I don't know if she's refreshing.
Yeah, kind of refresh your recollection of your deposition.
There's been no question to refresh.
This couple please ask the question.
Did you say that he told you about the bump?
If I said it there, then I said it there. I mean, it's just been years, so it's hard to recall.
I
And
understand.
I'm tired.
Would it refresh your recollection to review the deposition to see exactly what you said?
Yes, ma'am, it would.
Page 40.
Is it appropriate to say that you're tired while on the witness stand? It's like, well, this has been scheduled. Did you not get enough sleep? Could you not get enough sleep in your no-tell motel Tallahassee hard pillow bed last night? Because, you know, do you think he stayed in the same room as Louis and Sigfredo at the Monroe? Was the motel called the Monroe, or was it just on Monroe?
6 and 47. And you can scroll like that. Does that refresh your recollection?
Yes, ma'am.
So did Mr. Adelson tell you about the extortion attempt?
Yeah, Leah, I sure miss Christina as well. But you know what? She's a Leo. We hurt her pride, and now she's gone into the cave to lick her wounds. She'll be back. She'll be back. She'll be back.
On his mother in 2016,
Yes, ma'am.
but definitely never told you about Catherine Magbanowa extorting him in 2014
No, ma'am.
or 2015.
No, ma'am.
No further questions.
Cross exam.
Thank you.
Yeah, guys, we need to get Christina to come back. You know, I don't even know what the issue is. You know, this whole thing about Nicole Kessinger. We need to do a special video on this subject, why people get so crazy about the Nicole Kessinger thing. You know, I've been thinking about this and thinking, okay, let me think about this from all angles. You know, we're going to do a special video about, you know, I don't know, the psychology of how people theorize about Nicole Kessinger and just go on a rampage. And I'm not saying one way or the other. Never have, never will, never have. Don't particularly care. But I do think it's interesting how certain subjects and whatever you want to call them, witnesses, suspects, whatever, just create this thing in people where they feel an insistence on something, but you know, what I need to do is write something down to describe this. I can't think about it on the fly, and we're not here for that today, guys. It's Ryan Fitzpatrick and Stephen Webster, and we hope Christina comes back. Christina, we know you're listening. You know, we know you're listening. We know you're out there. We know you're one of the people listening to the stream. You're just not writing a message. Come on. Get those fingers typing, Christina.
You met Katie once or twice, right? Magbanowa?
I believe so. Yes, sir.
You didn't know her personally?
No, sir, I did not.
But Charlie mentioned to you that the father of Katie's kids tried to run him off the road,
Yes, sir.
tried to kill him,
Yes, sir.
and that was in 2014?
Vaguely, yes, sir. If that's what I testified to, then yes.
Charlie talks a lot, right?
Indeed, he does.
Repeats himself a ton, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, I think Ms. Kappelman just refreshed.
They really drive this home throughout every witness. Charlie likes to talk a lot, right? Charlie likes to talk, yeah? What are they hoping for with that? That the jury go, oh, our son loves to talk. We understand. He would say anything. He just loves to talk. You know, they're trying to create this relationship, relatable character, this relatable, annoying character where if you aren't one yourself, you've got one in your life somewhere. So the jury go, oh, yes, he talks a lot. All this stuff that he said is because he talks a lot. You know, but every time Daniel Rashbaum says it, he says it with this weird confidence, and I don't know where he gets it from. And just a quick comment on Leos, KLK. We love Leos at True Crime Metrics. You know, Leos are great and very colorful, and they have fantastic hair.
Your memory that you were aware of the bump, that Charlie told you about the bump.
Yes, sir.
Okay. By the way, did you communicate with Charlie on WhatsApp?
Yes, sir.
Do you ever talk about murder on WhatsApp with him?
No, sir.
Ms. Kappelman asked you about whether Charlie started to act nervous at the time of around Katie's arrest. Do you recall those questions?
Yes, sir.
Are you aware that shortly before her arrest, law enforcement released an affidavit calling for Charlie's arrest, which the state attorney refused?
What? I don't understand the question.
Are you aware that there was an affidavit that was released by law enforcement calling
Hey, the two, how you doing? Good to see you.
for Charlie's arrest?
I believe there was like a probable cause or excuse me, or something like that. Yes, sir.
And that was broadcast to the entire world, right?
It was broadcast. Yes, sir.
Okay. And that was back in 2014, correct?
I believe so. Yes, sir. If that's when it
I'm
happened.
sorry, that was back in 2016, correct?
Yes, sir.
At the time that he started to act kind of weird.
Yes, sir.
Also around that time, there were 60 Minutes, 2020, and Dateline specials, right?
Yes, sir.
And there was also this bump, right?
Yes, sir.
And after Katie's arrest, there was even more suggestion that Charlie somehow had some role in this, right?
Yes, sir.
By the way, you continued to be friends with him after that, right?
Yes, sir.
You see, there you go, KLK. You don't even have a picture, and if you're a Leo, you've got great hair. There's no question. Congratulations.
Now, isn't it true that you stole from Charlie?
No, not at all.
It's not true that you took checks that were supposed to be made out to the business and took them for yourself?
That's alleged in a lawsuit that's been dismissed. So
Was that lawsuit dismissed because Charlie Adelson got arrested in this case?
I never hired an attorney because I wasn't worried about it.
When was it dismissed? After his arrest in this case or before?
I found out last week, so I don't know. I don't care.
Do you think it was dismissed after he was arrested in this case?
That's speculation on your part. I have no idea. I didn't think about it. Didn't lose any sleep over it.
Well, you lost sleep over something, Ryan. You just told us how tired you were. It can't just be the smell in Tallahassee that's keeping you up. Come on. What is it, Ryan? What's weighing on your heart, Ryan?
Lawsuit for
Maybe he secretly loves Charlie. They spend a lot of time together, don't they?
hundreds of thousands of dollars.
About $2 million. But I don't have that anyway, so I didn't worry about it.
Before he filed that lawsuit, he demanded that you repay him, right?
I guess if that's what he says.
Well, did he text you and demand repayment?
Yeah.
He said he was going to start taking what you owed him out of your paychecks. Do you recall that?
Yeah.
And you didn't like that.
Oh.
So you threatened if he tried to recover any of the stolen money for you, you would go to law enforcement and tell them that that he was involved in Professor Markel's murder.
I don't know if that's what I said verbatim at all.
Well, let's see if I can refresh your memory.
How much reading do you have to do as a lawyer? You know, I mean, these, you know, when they come out of court and they've got those, what do you call it? Those, you know, those trolleys that like a luggage bag where you go to the airport on wheels, you know, and it's full of those brown boxes and it's just full of paper printed. I mean, can you imagine how much reading you have to do? Too much. I wouldn't be able to do it. That's just too much for me. I like the talking. I'd like to have a go at being questioning a witness. That'd be I'd love that. But the reading, not so much.
What exhibit are we up to? Do you recall saying to...
Wow, Rabbit says that Ryan flew from Miami early morning that day to Atlanta with layover and then Atlanta to Tally. That's the reason he's tired. Yeah, you would be, wouldn't you? You can't just go straight to Tallahassee? Or maybe, I don't know.
To Dr. Charlie Adelson, I don't owe you shit. I'll be on the phone with the FBI today. Get your affairs in order before prison, punk. You're going to rot in jail, you mom, fag. Do you recall saying that?
I mean, if
You mom fag. I'd never heard that before this case, and I think is that a thing that people say? I'd never heard that before, but it's a very accurate description of Charlie, isn't it? You mom fag. Man, yeah. And can you imagine how annoyed Charlie was when he got this message saying, "I'm going to go to the FBI, you murderer." Oh. You see, that's another reason. A lot, you know, underneath all the moral obligations that you shouldn't murder people, there's this other thing of people will have something over you forever. Forever. That'll never go away. There's no statute of limitations where suddenly their information won't be worth anything. The FBI or the cops are always going to want to know that. So you could never get heavy with anyone. You could never, you know, make a threat in business because the other party will just turn around and say, well, if you do that, I'm going to go and tell the FBI that you're a murderer and give them evidence.
you're reading it, then I did.
You open your mouth and I will open mine. Watch, motherfucker. You're a miserable Jew and you're going to get what you deserve. Do you recall saying that?
If you're reading it, then I said it.
Hey, there's Mentor Lawyer. Look at him. Isn't he great? He's got such a great face.
I dare you to threaten me again. I'll be on the phone with the FBI before you blink, you murderer. Do you remember saying that?
Yep.
Get fucked. I'm going to get you in jail. Do you remember saying that?
I guess if it's in there.
Yeah, I think Ryan had had a few cognacs when he was writing those messages. That's never a good idea, guys. Don't get into a business argument when you've been drinking. Don't do that. That's no good. You know, think it through, take a day, then write the message. And also, never send anyone anything on a written text message that you wouldn't want to be read out in a court in front of a judge, because it could happen. You just never know, right? Everything could matter. That's a good rule for everybody. Just never send a text message that you wouldn't want to be read out in court. You know, if we all did that, text messaging would be a much healthier place for everybody.
You ever heard of a website on Facebook called True Crimes Blog? True Crimes Case.
Man, I literally thought he was going to say metrics then. Have you ever heard of a website on Facebook called True Crime Metrics? One day. Soap, are you ready? We will be read out in court as evidence. Have you ever heard of a YouTuber from Portugal called True Crime Metrics?
Case, the Dan Markel case. Let's discuss. You ever heard of that?
Yes.
You're just posting pictures of Charlie on that website this week, right?
I don't know.
You want me to show you them?
What difference does it make? What does that have to do with anything?
May I approach, Your Honor? Does this refresh your recollection of a picture you posted of Charlie on that website just days ago?
Yeah, it's a good picture.
Does anyone know which picture that is? Oh, hi, Gen Exit. Welcome, our new member, guys. Memberships, fantastic. On the channel page or somewhere on our page is memberships, and Gen Exit is a brand new member, and you can tell by that cool little icon next to the name in the chat. How fantastic is that? Jen says, so glad I discovered this channel. Don't know why it took so long. Cracks me up. Thank you so much, Jen. And thank you so much for becoming a member of the channel. Welcome.
You say you have nothing to gain from this case and you don't really care and you don't want to be here, right?
Right.
Just on Tuesday, do you recall writing to someone, I want to propose a wager. Let's see who gets involved. The over and under on Life Plus. Laugh out loud.
Yeah.
Yeah. You post.
You see, again, he'd been having a few cognacs when he wrote that Facebook post. I want to propose a wager, over or under on Life Plus. You know, just don't do it. Be careful what you write, you know, seriously.
Posted on there that you were going to help get this man a life imprisonment, right?
I don't know that it suggested that I was helping him do anything. I was just speaking my opinion, which that's free speech, and that's what all the other idiots on that thing do as well. So
I want to propose a wager, over under on Life Plus. That's what you said.
yeah.
No further questions.
Oh, very hostile end, Daniel Rashbaum. Look how short he is there. He's actually closer to the camera than Georgia, right? And he's still shorter. There's the line, goes across. My God. He's like 4'1", right? Nuts.
Right, Mr. Rashbaum's commentary, to the extent it's on the record.
I didn't hear his commentary. What did he say? He said, no further questions. Slammed down the folder.
Life Plus. That's what you said.
Yeah.
No further questions.
Move to strike Mr. Rashbaum's commentary, to the extent it's on the record.
I think that was completely inaudible in the stream, guys. It was almost like he said it to Sarah Dugan, right? Sarah Dugan's tidied up her hair today. I guess she's not a Leo, right? I wonder if Georgia is. Georgia could be. Or a Capricorn. I don't know. But she doesn't really look like a goat. All Capricorns, in one way or another, look like goats. But in a good way, you know, to all you Capricorns in the chat. Embrace it, you know. Keep climbing that mountain.
Okay, members of the jury, you are to disregard the last statement concerning
From Mr. Rauschbaum as to the post on the social media site.
No question, Your Honor.
You may step down.
Thank you.
Please call your next witness.
Should we approach on that one, Your Honor?
You may.
So that there was no redirect. No, I don't think he's short. He looks fairly average height, maybe 5'10". Ryan Fitzpatrick. But he's about 5'10" wide as well, isn't he? He's huge. He didn't say happy birthday to Charlie? What was the line, old Pueblo Hobbs? I didn't hear what his line was. Oh, you mean what he was saying about the wager thing? Well, I guess he was saying that Ryan Fitzpatrick is an unreliable witness because he's, you know, had this business dispute and is being sued for $2 million and has a vested interest in Charlie going away for life because that will make the lawsuit go away. So basically telling the jury not to listen to anything he said at all. Didn't work.
Sort you out briefly.
Really?
We'll continue.
That's all Rashbaum can do with every witness. Remember him with Katie McBanowa? The only way you're getting out of jail, ma'am, is in a box. Unless they help you. And they told you what to say, didn't they, ma'am? Yeah, Hugh Hefner. Thanks. Hugh says that he's telling us. Well, I'll read it as if I'm Hugh, okay? I'm telling you, you and your audience have something good going on. Your channel is growing. Thanks. Thanks, Hugh. And thank you, audience, as well. And remember, guys, anyone out there, I know you're all subscribed already, and you've already all put the like on the video because you're very good participants. But anyone out there watching the stream in the future, remember to like, share, leave a comment, support the channel, super like, super thanks, buymeacoffee.com, link in the description, and memberships, guys. Our memberships are growing as well. Those are available on our channel page, and we're going to be spending some more time developing what is available in the memberships, because it's pretty much just the default stuff at the moment, which is still great. There's still loads of icons and good, fun, colorful stuff in there. And you get the classic status of being a True Crime Metrics member, right? You get a little ID card and everything. It's fantastic. But most importantly, leave a like on the video, guys, because we got so many yesterday. We broke 3 records in yesterday's stream, our best stream ever. And it's still today. It's our best post-production ever. Huge numbers, guys. Like 65 subscribers we've had since yesterday. It's fantastic. You know, is that a lot? I think that's a lot even for quite a more established channel. Okay, those big guys with 10 million views and everything. But we're not that. We're not trying to be that, okay? We're us. And we like us. But we also like getting likes and getting subscribers. So make sure you all do the right stuff, yeah?
With the testimony. Jury is exiting. Please rise.
I would never call that witness.
My God, I just love the size of this judge, you know, and the black robe makes him look even bigger than he is, right? But I just think it's incredible. I think all judges should be that big. Who's going to mess with that guy? You know, no one. Can you imagine trying to mug him? Give us your phone. What's in the bag? Not going to happen.
Please rise.
Why would they ever call that with?
Everyone can be seated. How long will it take to get them in place?
Okay, I think we're moving on to Stephen.
We'll go back on in 10 minutes, and
Webster.
then the defense can take its proffer as to the issue that's already been addressed at sidebar. We'll bring the jurors back in.
Wow, I love this this picture, this capture of Georgia and Sarah there. Don't they just look like legal sisters? You know, law sisters, justice, sisters of justice. That's what they should be called. They could have their own group, a girl band, the Sisters of Justice. Fantastic. What a great pairing, you know. I think they'll be together forever. I bet they have Christmas together and 4th of July, you know. Their husbands are best friends.
And looks like time-wise, Mr. Rauschbaum, I know I didn't want to cut off your access of getting started on any cross-examinations, but do you wish to start your cross today or move into next week?
I think, I mean, I don't know when they're going to be, but probably next week.
Very
But
well.
but if they're quick, then maybe I would start it. Can we just go sidebar after?
That's fine.
Okay.
All right. We'll resume in 10 minutes at 4:23.
No, Charlie's a Scorpio, I believe. It's his birthday today in the video. Okay, let's go to, look, I even got the time signature down here, guys, for Stephen Webster's 4 hours, 1 minute, 49. That's what we're doing. How professional is that? You don't see Roberta with those time signatures, do you? Never. 4 hours, 1 minute, 49. Okay. Well, it was wrong. 10 minutes, 49. No.
Members of the jury, I hope you had a restful break. We are going to resume with the state's case at this time. Please call your next witness.
So just a reminder, guys, this next witness, Stephen Webster, was, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rabbit, was the lawyer of Dan Markell during the divorce and thereafter. But I've only ever seen this guy's testimony one time, way back when it happened last year.
They call Stephen Webster.
You can take your foot.
Yeah, people are talking about Tara Kawas in the comments. I started off liking her way back years ago. I was thinking, oh, you know, she's so punchy and she's got this nice Caribbean accent. And, you know, but now I watch her and I just think she's missed the, you know, completely missed the point. Her only crime, Her only crime was having horrible taste in men. Oh, you can't really do that accent, can you? But you know, wasn't good. But you know who was good was Christopher DeCoste. That I for one would just love to see him working with Georgia Cappleman, even though Georgia Cappleman doesn't like him, doesn't think he's a good lawyer, and they weren't even, speaking in the breaks. Sometimes when the prosecutor and the defense attorney are like respectful of one another, they'll go out for a drink after and kind of discuss the case within the appropriate legal bounds of conversation. But there was no love between Georgia and her team and Catherine McBanower's lawyers at all. But Tara Kawas will be coming. Well, we don't know if she's actually going to come, but the state have called to subpoena her for Donna Adelson's trial. So she might be in this courtroom on the witness stand being questioned by Georgia. That's going to be very interesting. I really hope that happens.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
Yes, sir, I do.
You may take your seat.
Thank you, Judge.
Yeah, KLK, memberships are on the, what do you call it? Our channel page. And then there's a tab, where it says videos, live, then memberships and community. And it's on there, I think. But we're also going to be putting memberships on buymeacoffee.com because I think that's even better. But Patreon, we're still setting that up. Yeah, it's really difficult to use. I need to like book in a couple of hours to sort out Patreon because there's another account, an old account, and I can't change that. Anyway, it's a whole thing. But I'll let everyone know in the Discord. Make sure you join the Discord. Link in the description, KLK. Also, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Links in the description, guys. So you can keep up to date with everything we're doing at True Crime Metrics, what we are releasing, where it is, how to do it, everything like that. And thank you so much, KLK, for your support. It means the world.
Please introduce yourself and spell your name.
Good afternoon. My name is Stephen Webster, STEPHEN WEBSTER.
How are you employed?
I'm an attorney
How long have you been a member of the Florida Bar?
since 2005.
Did you represent Dan Markel?
I did.
During what time period did you represent him?
I think it was May of 2014 and until he was murdered.
And during the time that you were, let me ask you, before his murder.
Okay, so he wasn't the attorney for the divorce, but, he's only been his attorney for a couple of months then before he was murdered. May 2014, and he was murdered in July.
When was the last time you had spoken with him?
I spoke to him that morning.
And what was the main goal of your representation of Mr. Markel?
So I had just started my firm, and, like any small business, you're scared and you're hungry. And a friend of mine called me, Tor Friedman, and said, I have a client for you. And I was like, okay. And he said, he's a law professor. And I was like, okay. And he said, it's a family law case. And I said, well, Tor, I don't do family law, and you know that. And he said, well, it doesn't matter. He's a law professor. He'll teach you everything you need to know. And I said, okay, well, that makes sense. So I agreed to meet with him. And the night before, I read all the papers, and they were voluminous. I printed them and actually read every word. And we'd already set up a meeting at Voodoo Coffee on Tennessee Street. And I really didn't think I was going to accept the case. I could just tell from the tenor of the papers that it was really, really contentious. And it just didn't feel like something I probably wanted to get involved in. But I wanted to meet him anyway. And so I met him, and I liked him. I liked him a lot. And so I decided I would take the case. I mean, it's not a prerequisite that I like you to represent you. But in something like that, I didn't want to get involved in a contempt type case with law professors, where ultimately it could end up being disrespectful to the court. And I didn't want to be involved in something like that if I really felt like it was going to be that kind of a relationship. But when I met him, I didn't feel like it was going to be that way. And so I agreed to take it. And his primary concerns were he wanted to get more time with his children, if at all possible, but he didn't want to change the kind of the time sharing. He had a kind of an unusual request. He wanted to see if there was any way that he could see the children every night when he didn't have them, to tuck them into bed and kiss them goodnight. And he said, look, I'll only stay 5 minutes. I promise I won't bother anybody and I'll leave. And I said, Dan, that's probably never going to happen. That's just probably not reasonable. And then he was really concerned about parental alienation, which at the time I wasn't, really familiar with it. I didn't do family law, but I was familiar with it from the perspective of I learned about it in law school and stuff like that. But he was really concerned that the grandmother, Donna Adelson, was really trying to drive a wedge between him and the children. And he actually told me that he heard her.
Charlie's shaking his head. This guy, when you have a witness like this on the stand who's professional, well versed in law, educated, and kind of neutral. It's almost like when you have a forensic examiner testify or something, but this guy's somewhere in between. He's got a personal insight and a professional insight, but he's here to tell the story, very reliable witness. And Charlie sat there going, oh no, my mother tried to drive a wedge between Professor Markel and Ben and Lincoln. No, never happened.
Refer to him as stupid on a Skype call. He couldn't see her in the Skype screen, but he heard her say something to the effect of stupid's on the phone. And he was livid about it. And he was ready to basically kind of go to war over that.
Did that sort of reference the filing that we're familiar with where...
You would be ready to go to war, wouldn't you? That is out of order. She says that to the kids? My God.
Grandma says you're stupid, and he was seeking to have Grandma enjoined from having unsupervised contact with the kids.
Yeah, and I didn't have the opportunity to actually talk to him about that yet because he was killed. But it was my understanding that after that filing, he heard her. Actually, he heard her because that's what he told me. He said, I heard her call me stupid. But she wasn't in the screen, but he knew her voice. And so he was very upset about that. And then the other thing that he was upset about, he wanted the Holocaust diamond back.
So property of his, family property that Wendy had.
Yeah, and he wanted that back.
All right, so what about money? Was he worried about money?
No.
Any chance that the case could have been resolved through $1 million payoff to Dan Markel from the Adelsons?
In exchange for what?
A relocation?
No.
We've heard some testimony that everything was going well between Dan Markel and...
Good man, Dan Markel. We'll give you $1 million if you do what we say. Fuck off. You know what I'm saying? Didn't even consider it. Didn't even go, ooh, $1 million. Ooh, I could buy a new car. I could buy a really nice car. Like Charlie would be already shopping in his mind, going, yes, the new boat, the jet ski, the new boat. Yes. How many trips to the Virgin Islands would that be for $1 million?
Wendy, in the few weeks leading up to his death, do you have any knowledge of that?
It's untrue. There's a reason he hired me. He didn't retain me because he needed a friend. Tor basically told me on the phone call, he said, look, there's going to be a trial and it's going to be acrimonious. And he needs a lawyer that can go into the courtroom and be prepared to fight. He said, that's why I think you could handle this case. And we were heading towards a trial. And he certainly.
But my question is, why, okay, Dan Markel is a law professor at Florida State University. He's in this extremely contentious, what do you call it? Pleading if that's the right word, with his ex-wife, Wendy Adelson, who's also a hotshot lawyer. Why is clearly Dan Markel knows a boatload of lawyers, that could help him take his case or introduce him to someone who's the right guy, but he's choosing this guy who's not familiar with family law. Why is that? Why has Dan Markel said, okay, this guy that doesn't know family law is the guy for my job? Why is that? Maybe we'll find out.
Certainly, he sent me an email the day before, talking about how he was irate because Wendy, unbeknownst to him, had actually enrolled or applied to have been enrolled at the School of Arts and Sciences. And she didn't even talk to Dan about it. So he found out the day before when he got called from the school saying that Ben had been accepted. And so he emailed me and said, I'm irate about this. He said, I don't think it's appropriate. Okay. So no,
so there were a bunch of issues still going on.
Yes.
It was hot at the time.
Yes.
All right. And there was some suggestion that Dan Markel was expected to lose all the filings that were currently pending at the time of his death, and Wendy was expected to prevail on everything. Do you agree with that assessment?
You mean like with the contempt and all of that?
Yeah.
No, I would not have got involved if I thought he was going to lose on the contempt. My reputation travels with my clients too, if they're doing things like that, right? If you're representing a client who is disrespecting the court, it's hard not to feel like that's bleeding off on you and you're disrespecting the court. And in Tallahassee, Florida, if you practice in this circuit, if I disrespect Judge Everett today, every judge in this circuit that matters to me is going to know about it before lunch tomorrow. And it's just no. So no, I would not have accepted. That's why I didn't think I was going to take the case when I read all that.
And seeking contempt is kind of a big deal amongst lawyers, right?
Yes. Contempt is, it's a very ugly kind of prospect. And as a lawyer, that was one of my main concerns is, she was a lawyer. And I did feel like she should be held in contempt. She didn't disclose things on her financial affidavit. And Dan convinced me of that. But
that was to be determined, right?
But
by a court.
Yes. But in my mind,
yes,
that was the only reason I took it.
Okay.
And, at the end of the day, you can lose your law license for that. I guess you would have to report that to the bar. I didn't research it, but the court would refer it to the bar. If the court found you were in contempt, the court would refer it to the bar and, you could lose your law license. So yeah, it's pretty serious, in that regard.
We heard, I think from both sides in opening that Mr. Markel was brilliant, but I'm not sure anyone that actually knows about that has told us. Do you have any knowledge of that?
Yeah. It was why I decided to take the case. I liked him. He was actually funny. Like he had good humor about it. Even kind of as acrimonious as all of this was, the big picture stuff he didn't have any anger. He was angry about the calling him stupid. That made him angry. But I think in his mind, eventually a lot of this stuff would resolve and should resolve. He wasn't vindictive, or vengeful. And that was a big part of the reason why I was willing to get involved. I felt like he was kind of looking at it like a business deal still, with the exception of the stupid comment.
Yeah, this is an interesting comment, Rabbit. Rabbit says both Dan and Wendy both had interviewed and discussed divorce with many, if not all, family/divorce lawyers in that area to create conflict of interest and limit the other's options of representation. Yeah, that's the thing, right? If you're getting a divorce, you go around and meet with all of the top lawyers in your area and then don't take them. But the fact that you've had an appointment with that lawyer precludes that lawyer from representing your to-be ex-spouse. It's a conflict of interest, and they would find themselves in a bit of ethical soup if they moved forward with that case. And to my mind, we need to rethink the laws surrounding that. How is that allowed to happen? If you want to divorce your wife and you go out and meet with all of the best lawyers, but don't take them on as a don't retain them, that means that your wife can't have any of the best lawyers and will have a less good lawyer. How is that, blind justice or whatever? You know what I mean? Fair, for ethical. There should be a loophole or something, a way around that. We need to invent that, in this mastery of whatever we're doing with this legal stuff, right? We're trying to create a world of fairness, and it's still in its infancy. How far we've come from ancient Greece or whatever, these systems that have been put in place in our democracies, and we're still pretty basic in a lot of areas. It's kind of funny. Imagine where it'll be in 1,000 years or something.
And, so he was funny and, I mean, obviously smarter than I am, that's for sure. So
What are a lawyer's ethical obligations to a client in terms of the client knowing what is in the filings that are being filed on their behalf?
well, I mean, I think that depends.
It's not an expert.
He's not an expert. In other words, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Useless lawyer, not a family lawyer. Yeah, Matilda, I think Charlie has already long before started to come round to the idea that Wendy is the real villain puppeteer in this whole story. He always thought that Donna was running things, but Wendy set this whole thing up with her brother and her mother as pure cannon fodder, just if they go down, so what? And I think he realized that a while ago, and having these witnesses come in to his trial for first-degree murder is really cementing that into his brain, and his soul and his heart and everything. I think he wants Wendy to go down. I think, I mean, what is it worth making a prediction now? We hear him in those jail calls, and you just know that it's on the tip of his tongue to just almost say the truth, say that Wendy did this and she deserves to be punished, and all of this. I think he'll flip at some point. And people say, "Oh, he won't do that while Donna's still breathing." Well, maybe he will. I think he might. A long sidebar. Come on. I kind of like watching Charlie just sitting there thinking.
You may continue examining the witness.
Are all attorneys in Florida governed by the rules of professional conduct?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you, as a 20-year lawyer, familiar with those rules?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So what are those rules in reference to, can a lawyer put things in a filing that the client doesn't know about or not?
You have a duty to keep your client informed. That is an actual affirmative duty on every lawyer. That you have to be in contact with your client, keep them informed of important events that are going on in the case. There are certain decisions.
Yeah, you have a duty to keep your client informed. Well, tell it to Sarah Boone. You know, she's got some issues with being informed. You know, if you're Sarah Boone's lawyer and you're not on the phone with her at 8 o'clock every morning for 12 hours, letting her know what's going on with the case, then you're done. You're done. You will eventually petition the court to withdraw from the case, and she will ultimately represent herself. Can you imagine what that's going to be like, guys? October 7th. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, because as soon as Donna Adelson's case is over, guys, we're going straight on to Orange County. I think that's where it is. And Sarah Boone in October. Wow. 2 crazy trials out of Florida this year coming up in the fall.
That only the client can make, like whether
or autumn, as I would say.
testify, things like that. But, you know, there are certain decisions that a lawyer can kind of make, procedural decisions on filing certain things, but you have a duty to keep your client informed of important events.
If Dan Markel was planning to move or seeking to relocate himself at the time of his murder, would you have known about that?
Yes.
And was he planning to do that or trying to do that?
Absolutely not.
One moment, please, Your Honor.
Take your time.
Further questions?
Cross-examination.
Very good afternoon, Mr. Lester.
Good afternoon.
You started representing Professor Markel in, I think you said May 2014, around that time frame?
Yes, sir. I believe so.
By the way, at that point in time, what did you specialize in? Were you a divorce lawyer?
No.
Had you ever done a divorce case?
I mean, I had done some, like I've worked for other firms, you know, and, but for the most part, if I was going to take it, like me personally, it would have to be no kids involved. And like, you know, one of those situations where the assets were already like agreed upon how they were going to be split up. I didn't want to get involved in fighting in cases where kids were going to get hurt. It's not how I wanted to use my law license.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for.
Yeah, Bob from accounting says Georgia is a foot taller than Rashi, and Sarah too. But you know, Bob, Sarah's last 6 inches of her height are purely made up of that nice Tallahassee bun she's got on top there. You know, we've got the Dover Delaware bun, the Dover Delaware double bun, and now the Tallahassee bun. I mean, we should start collecting these hairstyles.
Talking with you. What did you specialize in?
I mean, as an attorney, I don't think I'm allowed to say I specialize in anything unless I'm board certified. So I'm not board certified in anything.
What did you? What type of work did you do more of?
At that point in my career, I'd primarily done a lot of criminal defense work.
Okay, so you were a criminal defense lawyer who was going to do a divorce case.
Yeah, I guess that's fair to say.
Were you aware that Professor Markel's previous lawyer had quit?
I saw in the filings that lawyers had withdrawn, and yeah.
And you never went to court with Professor Markel, right?
No, he got killed before I had my chance.
You're aware.
I really see Rashbaum, the kind of expressions he makes on his face, to be one of those performers, you know, that goes to a house, you know, for a children's birthday party and makes balloon animals or something, you know. Maybe a magician, but I just see the balloon animals. You know that bit where you make the poodle and you do the tail and you pull it in your mouth, and then there's an air bubble at the top of the poodle's tail on the balloon animal? I can just see him doing that. And I bet he'd be really good. I bet he could do like a full big rainbow swan out of balloon animals, you know?
Court admonished Professor Markel in court earlier in the year, right?
I don't know if I was familiar with that. I read the papers. If it was in the papers, I mean, look, it appeared to me that,
Yeah, dispatcher, thanks for your comment. You know, we have good days and we have bad days. Yesterday's stream was a good day. That was our best ever, I think, you know. Today's a different tone. You know, we're going back to court. We're looking at these testimonies, and this chap here, this good witness, Stephen Webster. You know, we don't want to poke fun at this guy. You know, and he's got some really good insight to share about Professor Markel, because it's such a shame, right? 10 years ago, tomorrow, or well, in 2 days, 10 years ago, Friday. Oh my God, it's going to be at Friday as well. No, Thursday. Okay. It's just gone past midnight here, guys, so I'm all confused with the dates. But it's very soon to 10 years. We get so little insight into Dan Markel, and it's really nice to learn about him. So I feel like we need to treat this stream with a little bit of respect, a little bit of, you know, discretion.
it was very acrimonious, and there were lengthy pleadings and filings, and it was one of the things I talked to Dan about. I said, you need a lawyer, you need to stop drafting voluminous pleadings, and we need to just get this on the rails and focus on what matters.
Voluminous. Someone tell me what voluminous means. I like that word. I wouldn't know how to use it in a sentence.
Okay. Ms. Kappelman asked you about court filings and the ethics of lawyers. You recall her asking you that?
Yes, sir.
Sometimes you file things. You have to keep your clients informed, right?
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you file things and you're able to file things.
Oh, right. Like volume. Like lots of volumes, right? Voluminous. Yeah, okay. I think I have heard that word.
That you don't have to go over every word with your client, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
No further questions.
Redirect examination.
No questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Webster, you missed that down.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You can be released, Your Honor.
Have a good day. Yes, sir.
Oh, is that it?
Here's the approach.
How's it going, Charlie? Look at him. Oh, this is going terribly. Ryan Fitzpatrick. And now Stephen Webster came and practically made the jury fall in love with Professor Markel. You know, wouldn't it be great if they could find a witness that came forward and said, yeah, Professor Markel was really a bad guy. And, he'd threaten people. And we think he used to beat his wife. And he was involved with these no-nonsense rabbis from New York. And, he was a shady character. It's just not on the cards, is it, Charlie? There's no character assassination available for you to Dan Markel. Because why? Because he was a nice guy, good legal mind, a master of professor of law. And you wiped him out to bring your selfish, awful, mentally ill, narcissistic, evil sister to live in a freaking apartment in Miami so she could look out to South Beach and feel like elitist. That was it. That was it. Tallahassee, she didn't feel too elitist, even on Aqua Ridge Way. And look at you now, Charlie, sitting here, sitting in the same chair as your ex-girlfriend who you tricked and, convinced and only got with in the first place, probably because you sensed that she could get this done and blah, blah, blah. And she went down and you did nothing to save her. And, I wasn't, no one called me. I had the information, but no one called me. So I thought the truth would come out. Well, it did, didn't it, Charlie? You know, and it's coming out again for you. The truth, Charlie. How's that going, Charlie? Head in your hand there, like a freaking, like a just. I guarantee you, he's had the shit kicked out of him already in jail badly. Because who wouldn't want to do it? I'd want to do it. You know, never mind some Latin king who's on a life sentence. That's going to be padlock in the sock time, you know, right around the coconut. A big padlock. So I think we've got, anyway, on a lighter note, I think we've got time for one more witness, at least one. Who have we got? Let's have a look on this this video here. There's Jeff Lacasse. Should we do Jeff Lacasse? Any ideas in the chat, guys? We could do Jeff Lacasse. We could do... we've done June recently. Excuse me. Luis Rivera. What are people thinking? Who's going to be shorter? Probably Jeff Lacasse, right? A rabbit says Jeff, so we're doing Jeff, everybody. The lady has spoken. Crazy Jeff. Red, sweaty, puffy Jeff.
Her family members in South Florida?
I did. Well, I met her parents mostly up here.
Oh.
So I met Don.
No, you're not.
Please call your next witness. Have a good day.
Jeffrey Lacasse.
Okay, so remember, guys, Jeff is the real mastermind of this whole plot. It wasn't the Adelsons. It was all Jeff, who was expertly positioned to set the Adelsons up and make it look like they were guilty, right? And what's he going to be doing in 2035? He's going to be picking up Luis Rivera outside of prison, and they're all going to go down to Yardbirds with Shadrick Nobles. Believe it. Hey, Ekaterina, long time no see. How you doing in the comments? We see you. Yeah, he looks really kind of beaten, doesn't he? Can you imagine having this bad breakup with this crazy psychotic woman, and the whole, not only do you find out that she was trying to frame you for the murder of her ex-husband. Oh, Jeff, are you still going to Tennessee tomorrow? Will you be driving up Thomasville Road that runs right past Trescott? Because that's the way you go, right? Yeah, are you leaving at about 11, Jeff? Not only do you find out that she was trying to set you up for murder, and figure out that the whole relationship all along had not been a relationship. You were just selected as a likely good patsy for being set up for murder. Not only do you find out all that and have to deal with that on top of having your heart broken and blah, 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 but then you've got the whole situation hanging over you for 10 years, right? And you have to come and give evidence publicly, televised, in front of, is it millions? I guess it is. Millions of people have seen him testify, right? I mean, he must get recognized in Tallahassee. Everybody in his life must want only to speak about the case. Oh, tell us about the case. You know, it just must be, what a nightmare. Poor guy. And he just wanted to, you know, have a girlfriend and play Star Wars with Ben and Lincoln, you know, be a house husband or whatever. And he's had all this stuff to, and he's been on pretty good form in the joint trial of Sigfredo Garcia and Katie Magbanawa. And he was also on good form in Katie's retrial. You know, I say good form as in he's upbeat. He's good form all over the place. He's made of good form, but he was upbeat. Now this time he's a bit sick of it, in my opinion. And it almost looks like it's caused him some health issues. Let's see what happens.
Please raise your right hand, sir. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
Yes.
You may take your seat.
Jeff was in the military, and did you see that posture? Look at that posture. That is military posture, isn't it? That arm is perfectly positioned. You know, his left arm straight down the back.
Swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
Yes.
You may take your seat.
Please introduce yourself and spell your name.
My name's Jeffrey Lacasse. Sorry. Jeffrey Lacasse.
How are you employed, sir?
I'm an associate professor at Florida State University.
How long have you been with FSU?
I came back in 2013. I was also there from 2000 to 2008.
Have you always lived in Tallahassee?
No, I'm from California originally. I went to Phoenix for 5 years from 2008 to 2013. Really loved Tallahassee. So when I got a tenure track job here, I was excited to return in fall of 2013.
Did you have a relationship at some point with Wendy Adelson?
I did.
What was that relationship?
We met in the fall of 2013. Apologize for my voice. I'm just getting a little water.
You can have water.
We started dating in the fall of 2013, September 2013. We dated casually in the fall and more seriously in the spring and summer of 2014.
When did the relationship end?
Well, that's a little tricky, but basically July of 2014.
All right, we'll walk through that a little more
Yeah.
in detail. During the time that you were dating Ms. Adelson,
Breathing on my
Me?
very close.
I don't know, maybe we need to move it. Is it okay if I touch the microphone or you want me to?
Is this about the right distance here?
I'm not sure, is he, but I'm just
That's not-
backing up in here. I know, it's hard to get right.
Maybe if you speak up, it'll just help you.
Yes, sir.
All right, so during the time that you were together, did you become aware of Wendy Adelson's recent divorce from Dan Markell?
I did. On our first several dates, that was the primary topic of conversation.
And were you aware that this was an unusual?
Hey, put some thumbs up and some smileys in the comment. Is there an owl emoticon? Because Rabbit's just had a great idea for our merchandise store, guys, which has nothing in it at the moment, but we are working on it. Owl-shaped air fresheners. If you caught the movie screenplay yesterday of the Jeffrey Lacasse outside the jail waiting for Luis Rivera, you'll know exactly what we're talking about. If you don't know what we're talking about, go and watch last night's show because it was great anyway. But the movie plot is fantastic. And I think owl-shaped air fresheners, that's a great idea, right? Because it's like your own personal in-joke. Anyone who sits in your car, they're not going to know that you're really into this case. But every time you get into your own car, you know, it'll mean something to you. You don't want to rub it in people's faces, right? But yeah, I love that idea. And cheap as well. You know, we could knock those out for $1 a piece. Maybe. Or maybe 3. But yeah. Good idea, Rabbit. I'm writing that down with a pen and paper. Where is my writing material?
Usually nasty divorce.
Yes.
During the time that you were dating her, did you become aware that even subsequent to the divorce, there was ongoing litigation pending?
Yes.
Did you know Dan Markel?
I met Professor Markel. I did not know him. I probably spent 10, 15 minutes in his presence across the course of that relationship.
And were you specifically familiar with the litigation concerning Wendy Adelson relocating with her children to South Florida?
Yes, that was a topic of conversation for sure.
If you know, did Wendy want that relocation to take place?
Yes, on our second date, the topic of relocation and being stuck in Tallahassee came up, and the date was ended abruptly when she went to the bathroom, returned with tears in her eyes, and just left the date because she was so upset. That was about two and a half months after it was denied.
All right.
And it continued to be a topic, but that's
But that issue seemed to be specifically what was upsetting her on that day.
definitely was. She left a group date suddenly because it came up.
All right. And did she have family in South Florida?
Yes.
And what family was that?
Well, her brother, Charlie Adelson, Harvey Adelson, her father. And
Oh, Jeffrey married Matilda. I always wanted him to marry Tamara Dempko. You know, they both just spearheaded this case. I mean, this case would just not have become what it was without those two. It wouldn't have been solved in the way that it has been without those two. Incredible, unprecedented, I'd say, as two civilians, both with high degrees of personal insight into the relationship dynamics between Wendy Adelson and Professor Markel, both with high degrees of emotional intelligence and, psychological intelligence. Just fantastic, both of them. We will be revisiting the Tamara Dempko interview with General Isom, guys, because it was one of the first videos we covered way back when we started this channel in January. And with Wendy Adelson, with Donna Adelson's trial coming up, I think it's important to go and revisit because there's so many good bits of information. So anyone out there who wants to see that, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, leave a like on this video, and all the rest of the good things, right? Yeah, I was surprised that she's not listed as a witness for Donna's trial, because you remember when Tamara Dempko went to the house of her own accord, uninvited, went to Wendy's house after the murder, and she was like, she just knew something was wrong. She was just like, I've got to go round there and see what's up, And Wendy opened the door and said, "Oh, I'm so sorry for your loss," or something, like consoling Tamara. And Tamara also said that Harvey gave her a look that, wouldn't look at her, acted like, I know that it was me, or something like that. But Donna was effectively the only one that seemed to be acting appropriately for the situation, had got the acting role right in that moment. I think that's what she said. Anyway, we're going to be revisiting that one very soon, guys. We might even do a few extras around the Tamara Dempko, just because it's such a special interview with General Isom. And hey, who doesn't want to see General Isom again, huh? With the donut sugar in his tie, the taco stains on his trouser legs, and all the rest of it. The Silver Fox himself is coming back.
Donna Adelson and her mother were the ones primarily that I heard about.
Were you also familiar with the litigation seeking to limit the exposure of Wendy Adelson's young sons to her mom, Donna Adelson?
Yes, in spring of 2014, yes.
And
funny, Pueblo. Yeah, well, Air Force, if you can call that military, which it isn't.
Did you observe Wendy to be taking that filing seriously? Did she seem stressed or worried about it?
Every filing she took seriously, and she was stressed. I had reported to TPD that every time a motion was filed, it affected our relationship because she's very upset.
During the time that you were in a relationship with Wendy, did you have an occasion to meet her family members in South Florida?
I did. Well, I met her parents mostly up here. So I met Donna and Harvey Adelson probably 8 to 12 times up here. I met the defendant down in South Florida one time.
All right, so you only met Charlie Adelson one time.
That's correct.
When was that?
That was the evening of March 11th, 2014.
And had you already met the parents several times at that point?
Yes, probably 6, 8 times at that point, maybe more.
So they came here quite frequently.
Yes.
What about Catherine Magbanua? Did you meet her?
She was present at the dinner that I attended on March 11th, where it was myself, the defendant, Wendy Adelson, and her went to dinner that evening, March 11th.
You're saying the defendant. Do you see the person in the courtroom
Yes,
that you had dinner with? Who's that?
that is Charles Adelson, known to me as Charlie.
Could you point him out and describe what he's wearing?
Yeah, he's sitting in the center of the defense table, wearing a light blue tie and a navy blue sports coat.
All right. And so Catherine Magbanua, how was she related to this family or affiliated with the family?
I was introduced to her as Charlie's new girlfriend, essentially.
And was it your understanding that this was the first time that Wendy was meeting Catherine Magbanua as well?
That was my understanding. She was excited about Catherine Magbanua, and that was my impression, yes.
All right. So anything unusual happened at the dinner?
Well, at the dinner, Ms. Magbanua mentioned that she
Sorry to stop the stream, guys, but we've got to explain something to Sue Lutz over here. The owl is the symbol of this entire situation, Sue. It's all over the place. It's everywhere. Yes, Wendy's wearing the famous owl t-shirt, but also Luis Rivera took a picture of an owl and put it on Instagram when they were in Tallahassee with his location, and Katie phoned him up to say, take that down. Luis and Sigfredo went for dinner at Hooters where the logo is an owl. Juno Chinder used to work at Hooters. She was a Hooters girl. There's pictures of her with an owl on her Hooters t-shirt. There was an owl carving. I think it was on a wardrobe, with an ornate carving on the wardrobe in the Markel residence. Tuto means owl in Greek. There's more, isn't there? There's loads more. Luis Rivera has an owl costume with a full mask and feathers and little wings instead of arms. There's more owl stuff. There's loads more. But it's almost like the omen of this entire situation is just the owl. That's why I think it would be such a nice little kind of discreet memento for people to have as a souvenir for being such fans of this case. Just an owl air freshener. No logo, no comment about the case, but everyone would know what it means.
had I guess it was her ex-common law husband, who had a criminal history that sounded very serious, and I did raise my eyebrows at that.
Did Charlie Adelson seem disturbed or upset by Catherine Magbanua mentioning that?
I don't recall him.
Yeah. My dad was an Air Force brat rabbit in Winnipeg. Yeah, his father was CRAF, and they went to Trenton, where Colonel Russell Williams was the colonel based. Anyway, CFB Trenton, yeah. Yeah, no, I ain't got any problem with Air Force, but I just thought it was funny, Pueblo Hobbs.
I'm seeming disturbed. No.
All right. What about after dinner? Where'd you go next?
We went to Mr. Adelson's home and we sat in his hot tub and had a few drinks and talked for a little while.
Who's the we that sat in the hot tub?
Yeah, myself, Wendy Adelson, Charles Adelson was in the hot tub for a while, and his then roommate, Dr. Jerome Obed.
All right. So Dr. Obed was living with Charlie Adelson at that time?
That was my understanding. He was his roommate, yeah.
All right. And where was Catherine McBanow at that time?
She did not accompany us back to the house.
In the hot tub, did the defendant make some statements that were of interest in this case?
Yes.
What were those?
Judge. Objection, motion to eliminate.
Approach.
Motion in limine. That's one of those terms that I still haven't bothered to learn. Motion in limine. Okay. Yeah, see, Malone, Tamara is
May
definitely up.
continue.
Let me ask a more specific question. Adelson in the hot tub mention anything about having connections to a criminal element?
Can someone get this judge a lozenge or something? You know, honey eucalyptus. He's got some serious throat issues going on, right? Listen to that. It's like listening to an engine start.
Continue.
Let me ask a more specific question. Adelson in the hot tub mention anything about having connections to a criminal element?
Yes, he did. He mentioned having contacts on both sides of the tracks, meaning dentists, lawyers, professional class people, but he also had people he knew that were a criminal element. Yes.
And did you get more specific about anything about these people that are the criminal element?
He mentioned specifically, I repeated it to TPD, about Cuban neighborhoods where you might find that criminal element.
Okay, so he had connections to those type of people.
That's what he said.
And
yes.
what was the context of this? Was he just seemed scared about it, worried about it, or something else?
Seemed to be bragging.
I want to ask you about a meeting with Wendy at a coffee shop that occurred on June 4th, 2014. Do you recall that?
I do.
What happened at the coffee shop?
We went to the Red Eye Coffee Shop to have coffee just to meet midday, and Miss Adelson canceled a trip that we had planned for July 11th to 17th to go see my parents, which was a big deal in the relationship, and she abruptly canceled it.
Did she offer an explanation as to why she needed to cancel the trip?
Not one that made sense. She said that she feared that we would not get back in.
You see what I mean about Jeff? He's really just annoyed that he's still got to talk about this. He just wants to move on, you know? Imagine having this hanging over you for 10 years and counting.
Time, and she emphasized, had to be back on the 18th to pick the kids up out of school, which would have been July 18th, 5 p.m. is my understanding. And I couldn't fathom why in the summer going through Atlanta, you wouldn't be able to get back in time. It didn't make any sense to me.
So she was worried you could be delayed and she wouldn't be able to pick the kids up.
Right. And we had people who could babysit. It didn't make any sense at all, but that was what she said. That day was very important.
All right. And so that occurred on June 4th.
It did.
All right. Did you see her later that evening?
I did. I went to the house to hang out with her and her children.
And is that her residence on Aqua Ridge?
Yes, ma'am.
And how was she that night? This is June 4th, right?
It is.
Okay.
She was a nervous wreck to the point where she was sick to her stomach. Asked me to get to her house as soon as possible. She was in that much distress. And she didn't have food poisoning or flu or anything obvious. She was just a nervous wreck. So I went to her house, immediately went to the store to get her Pepto-Bismol and a couple of things from the convenience store. I have the credit card receipt, is why I recall that so specifically.
And did you have any idea why she's acting? I assume this is unusual for her.
It was fairly unusual. The degree of severity was definitely unusual. But that whole week, June 4th to 9th, she was very nervous. So.
And she didn't tell you it was because killers were in Tallahassee to kill Dan Markell, did she?
No, I was stunned to later find out that there was hitmen in town at the time.
Okay. So let's go forward a little bit to this TV situation. Do you know anything about Wendy's TV being broken?
I do.
And when was the TV broken, if you know?
Between June 11th and 18th, I think it's closer to the 11th, but 100% in that week.
And how do you know it was in that week?
Because we rented a movie, How to Train a Dragon 2, to give the kids a special movie night. And I have text messages where I'm discussing having seen the movie by the 18th with friends.
So you were able to refresh your memory?
Yeah, I was able to
by going
refresh
through
my
those?
yeah.
Okay. All right. So do you get the movie or?
Well, it's back in the day. It was Redbox. So I rented a DVD from a Redbox. It was 2014.
All right. And go over there with the movie and what happens when you arrive.
I walk in the door and Miss Adelson asked me to look at her television because there's something wrong with the television.
And what was wrong with the television?
Well, I turned it on and I was immediately confused because it really shouldn't have been a question. As soon as you turn the TV on, it's been struck by an object and is damaged and basically unusable.
Can you explain what the
Yeah, C. Malone says Jeff is very smart, but Wendy cut him the last month or so in the sack, so seemed to almost like being used. He really wasn't getting anything off of Wendy besides a side wine kiss. Yeah, I don't think he liked being used, but I think he saw himself as a gentleman, a noble rescuer. Remember, she'd been mouthing off about evil Markell, weirdo Markell for months, right? Wouldn't stop talking about it. He saw himself as being there to look after the kids while she was going through a difficult time. And of course, Wendy just saw him as a babysitter. But I don't think he was aware that he was being used. That was the problem.
damage look like?
Yeah, it looked like somebody stood in front of it, took their fist and hit it like that was my first impression.
It's like kind of like a shatter mark with spiders.
Yeah, there's like an impact crater, and then there's out from that there's, and it's all pixelated and distorted, which makes it
An impact crater. Wow, that's quite a hit. You don't get that from a 3-year-old throwing a transformer, what do you call it, figure at the TV, do you? It might break it, but you just get like one hairline crack, and then when you turn it on, the you get that weird color river thing. No. An adult punch to this TV for sure.
it's very difficult, or really no one would watch this TV unless you had to. And I had second thoughts about that. I looked around the room. Maybe the kids broke it. So I looked all around the room, and it didn't seem plausible that the children broke it. They're very small. This object had to be kind of heavy. I'd thrown a ball around with them. I just couldn't see how the kids could have done it.
But you didn't see how it got busted.
I didn't see it. I didn't know for sure. And I didn't know we'd be discussing this in a murder trial. So I didn't investigate further or think about it very much, to be honest with you. I just thought, okay.
Were there other TVs in the house?
There was a TV in the back bedroom, a similar make and model that we had watched television with the kids before on that TV before. So yes.
Is that where you watched the movie that night?
No, I went to go hook up the DVD player in the back room. Miss Adelson insisted that it would not work and actually stopped me from even trying. So thought that was very odd, but I didn't want to argue. And
Hey, Bob, be careful, man. What's Air Force talk? It better be something good, Bob.
her house, her TV, her kids. So I said, okay.
So did you watch the movie on the broken TV?
Yeah, we gave the kids movie night where we watched a movie on a broken television that was distorted enough that you could follow what was happening, but the kids are whining and crying the whole time. And I wasn't whining or crying exactly, but I was tempted to because it was pretty frustrating. And I just didn't understand, what was going on. And of course, I had related that this TV is broken, it's unwatchable, it's not covered by warranty, you're gonna have to get a new TV. And I offered to go do that for her anytime she wanted. She's a busy single mom. I'll run by Best Buy, get you a new TV. It was not like a 80-inch TV or something that was really that luxurious. It was a TV like you'd see in a dorm room. So we could have replaced it right away.
All right. Did you end up getting a new TV?
No, she turned me down several times on that offer. And again, it's her house. I tried to respect her boundaries. And I said, oh, okay. But it was inconvenient because after dinner, it's nice to be able to put the kids in front of that TV while you clean up the dishes and stuff. And it sat there being an inconvenience for a while.
All right.
Yeah. Oh no, what we had to do is we had to get Best Buy to come out and repair the TV at the house with the shattered screen and a crater in the screen. What adult would ever think that? It's just ridiculous. Jeff is here. He's saying, listen, I can go down to the store right now and get a new TV. I'll pay. Oh, no. It's under warranty and Best Buy will fix it because they have to come out here and that's my alibi. Just so ridiculous, isn't it? It's a terrible alibi. It's almost, I think it might be the worst part of their plan.
I want to ask you about when is Ms. Adelson's birthday?
April 22nd.
Okay.
Earth Day.
I've got this out of order.
All right. Impact crater, Bob. Yeah. Just be careful, man. Because if you say anything about Air Force, you better bring a big plate of arancini to throw down Rabbit's burrow. Those little rice balls. She's Italian.
Or let's skip over that for now and go to the big fight in June. Ms. Adelson mentioned that there was a big fight toward the end of June. Do you recall that?
Yeah, that's the weekend of June 27th, 28th.
Where were you when that fight occurred?
We were in Gainesville. Ms. Adelson accompanied me for a work trip, and we had that scheduled for a while. And she accompanied me on a work trip, and we ended up having a pretty big argument Saturday night in the hotel.
When did that have to do with you accusing her of seeing other men?
That was one of the issues. There'd been a lot of tension bubbling. That was the major issue. But just to give that some context, I suspected very strongly she was seeing other men. Of course, your office had confirmed recently to me that there was multiple online active dating accounts the whole time we were supposed to be exclusive. But just to give context to that, that was combined with Wendy promising me the world in June, talking about me moving in. Shouldn't get a Jeep. You should get a car. The kids' car seats will fit in. The kids should start calling you daddy was the most outrageous one and so she's like throwing herself at me over the top in a way that felt totally disingenuous and fake. And at the same time, I think she's seeing other guys. So it just kind of boiled over. I tried to have like a serious, honest relationship conversation with her, and that didn't go very well.
So you were kind of, at least up until all of this started happening, you were kind of full steam ahead, and it seems like she was a little stop and go, hot and cold. Is that?
It was a roller coaster, is what I would say. And I had felt since April that I was perhaps being strung along. I had that intuition. I couldn't fathom a reason why you would string a guy along like that. It didn't make any sense at the time.
All right. So June, we're in.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense at the time. But knowing what we know now, it makes a lot of sense. If you look at it through the lens that I was a patsy being set up to murder, well, set up to be framed of murdering Professor Markel. Imagine if that had gone down. How happy would Wendy be? They get away with it, and Jeff sitting on death row. Wow. There would have been sufficient aggravating factors for the death penalty, I believe. Well, would there? No one else has been sentenced to death. Well, I guess not then. If Sigfredo isn't sentenced to death, I mean, his aggravating factors, why is that? It is Florida.
June, like 28th range.
Okay.
Okay. When do you come back from Gainesville?
The morning of the 29th, after this fight or this argument, we drive back. We drive back to Tallahassee. Now, I had another ride back, and I offered to take that other ride if the fight was that bad, because we could have broken up after this. That was, but she wanted to ride back with me.
You rode together.
Yeah, we rode together.
All right. So you rode back together, and then was she leaving that day?
I believe it was I thought she picked up the kids the next day from Professor Markel's house, and that's when she met Amy Adler, and that was a big deal to her.
Amy Adler was Dan's girlfriend at the time?
Yes.
Okay. So it's at some point after the big fight and the return from Gainesville, does she leave to go to South Florida?
Yeah. I know. A day or two later, she definitely leaves to return to South Florida. She's in South Florida by July 1.
All right. And was that the trip that she was there for her dad's birthday?
That's correct.
Did you attend the dad's birthday?
No, I was never invited to the dad's birthday.
All right. And were you aware what the big gift was for dad's birthday?
No.
All right. So when did you see Wendy next after she leaves to go to South Florida? Or I guess after you returned from Gainesville?
So during that 2-week period, we're exchanging emails, texts, long phone calls, video chats with the kids. Things are up and down, but it seemed like it's probably going to be okay. That's the impression I was given by Miss Adelson. Or I was being strung along 2 more weeks. But I see her again on the 13th when she comes back in town and is excited to.
Why was Georgia smiling then?
Things are up and down, but it seemed like it's probably going to be okay. That's the impression I was given by Miss Adelson. Or I was being strung along 2 more weeks. But I see her again on the 13th when she comes back in town and is excited to have a date with me. So we had a date.
All right. So now we're at July 13th, 2014.
That's correct.
So within a week of the murder.
That's right.
Okay. Tell us about your interactions with her that day.
Yeah, we went to dinner and a movie, and we returned to our house on Aqua Ridge.
All right. And did she tell you anything asked to tell you anything in confidence that evening?
Yeah, in a very serious tone of voice. The topic of conversation as we're walking up to the house is about relocation, being stuck in Tallahassee, and Danny, as the conversation always was about Danny Markel. She's
Forget it, man. Bob, Navy SEAL, Jeff Lacasse is Black Ops. Yeah. He's like Operation Blackbriar. Jason Bourne. He's the guy that they send to Moscow, to do everything himself. No backup because he doesn't need it. Okay.
said in a very serious tone of voice, "Can I tell you something in confidence?"
Objection, Your Honor. Motion to eliminate.
Now, Ms. Kaufman, you understand the court's rulings.
I think I do, Judge, but asked to approach.
Please approach.
Oh, Sue, have you not seen Jeffrey Lacasse's testimonies? He's done all 3 trials so far, and they're all, in some ways, they're all the same content. But in other ways, you get a little more each time. It changes a little bit each time, and not like the story changes. It becomes deeper. It's a really good. I love that there's been so many trials about this one case, because it's given us this unique window to look through into the plan, the plot, the scheme, the manipulation, and we just get to see it from so many different angles, because with each defendant who's on trial, there's a slightly different, route to the truth, and we end up with this like really wide, multi-dimensional map of the same situation. Usually with a standard trial, you'll have one defendant and the prosecutor will go to the truth a certain way for that one defendant. Here we've got so many different routes to the truth. It's great. Who should play Lacasse in the movie? Let me think about that. Oh, thanks so much for the super sticker, KLK. Very kind of you. We really appreciate it. I don't know, Rabbit. Brad Pitt? I think Brad Pitt's always Brad Pitt. What about Ed Norton? I don't know. I need to think about it. I'm sure there's a really good answer that makes sense. I don't know if Kevin Costner. That might be interesting. Okay, for me personally, we've got Jude Law, Nick Cage, Mr. Bean. Okay, Bob's joking. But yeah, Lolly77 says Kevin Costner. I think that's the front runner for me at the moment. What a great idea.
The bailiff is going to escort you out. Mr. Lacoste, you can step down from the witness stand for now.
Okay.
Please step back outside.
Place your hat face down on your chair.
Everyone can be seated. Bringing up both the motion in limine and the prior order that have been issued on this matter.
Cage with his Con Air accent. Drop the bunny. Drop the bunny. What a great movie. Con Air. You are a $40 million weapon. Yeah, great movie and great accent. I love Nick Cage's accent in Con Air. It's fantastic.
The ruling that was made as to the defense motion in limine concerned the state eliciting this as a part of its case in chief. However, Mr. Rauschbaum, at this point, Ms. Adelson has specifically denied making this statement. Why is this an improper ground for the state to explore this on impeachment?
It's still hearsay, Your Honor. It's double hearsay. It's not done to
All sorts of matters that otherwise would be inadmissible can become impeachment.
Judge. If Dr. Adelson, Charlie Adelson, made that statement to Mr. Lacoste and he denied it, he could impeach him. They're impeaching another witness. That's not allowed. That's number one. Number two, I brought up
The
this
impeachment of one witness's testimony through another is not allowed.
but they're impeaching her to go to his statement. They're stuck with her answer. They could have kept on cross-examining her of why they thought her answer was wrong. They can't now backdoor it through hearsay in another witness. That was the whole point of the motion. Similarly, Judge, we brought this issue up first thing this morning, sidebar, because if they were going to be allowed to do it, I was going to ask Ms. Adelson other questions on this issue. They said they weren't going to do it. So I didn't ask her those questions. And I didn't ask her those questions because I didn't want to open the door to it. And I can't call Ms. Adelson back as a witness because she has a Fifth Amendment right and I can't give her immunity. I brought this up for this very reason. She denied the statement yesterday. That's why I brought it up today. They can't backdoor a double hearsay statement based on a denial by that witness. Can't do it.
Ms. Koppelman.
It's not hearsay, it's offered for impeachment. Ms. Adelson was specifically drawn to the time and place of this statement and asked if she made it. She denied it. This witness heard her make the statement. It's not admissible to impeach her testimony.
This is not an insignificant fact or an immaterial one. Mr. Rauschbaum, if you wish to find some authority, I will give you 5 minutes to look if you have anything to argue as to this matter. Ms. Adelson has denied making the statement. She can be impeached through other witnesses regarding this matter.
Judge.
I will give you an opportunity to find some authority. If there's something more specific you can point me to other than what you're arguing right now.
Judge, I brought this up this morning so that I could front it with Ms. Adelson. And we were told, you were told, that they weren't going down this path. If I'd been told something different, I would have done something different that I can no longer do. It's precisely why I went sidebar first thing in the morning.
What is your response as to that portion of the argument, Ms. Koppelman?
That's a legal argument. I was asked if I was intending to offer double hearsay. I said I would never be offering hearsay without an exception.
I assume he's making this on fairness grounds, which goes to this would have changed his strategy of how he examined the witness.
I don't know what to do about that, Judge. I can't help Mr. Rauschbaum have better strategy. I was real specific with
I can't help Mr. Rashbaum have better strategy. Go, Georgia. Do it, Georgia.
the witness to get that denial. So I'm not sure why the issue wasn't raised at that point.
but to be fair, I did think Rashbaum made some pretty convincing arguments there.
Judge, I was really specific this morning that the double hearsay related to my motion in limine related to Jeffrey Lacoste. You knew what I was talking about.
Hold on. My ears work perfectly well. You don't have to raise your voice. Make your argument, please.
Everyone, sidebar, knew exactly what I was talking about. And we were told, Ms. Kappelman told you as an officer of the court that she was not going down that road. And so when Ms. Adelson was on the stand, I stayed away from it, not to open the door to it. She knew exactly what statement we were talking about. If you tell me you didn't know what statement I was talking about, I'll sit down. I was very specific. I was very specific that it was the double hearsay statement related to Jeffrey Lacoste that we filed our motion in limine on. I was very specific that it applied to this and also the Juvia dinner. Those were the words specifically out of my mouth back there, because when she asked the questions of Ms. Adelson, which were completely appropriate, I thought she might be going down this path. And so the first thing in the morning, we went sidebar so I could stop the charade, so that if the court were going to allow it to come in, I would handle it. She stayed silent. And I've been jumping up and down to try to prevent any possible mistrial twice, and still no mention of it. It's completely unfair, completely improper, and it denies him his constitutional right of due process.
Again, that's why I raised the issue. This goes to the fairness aspect of it. We'll take a brief 5-minute recess. If you have any authority you wish to present, I will entertain it further.
Got to skip the recess.
Unless either party has additional argument, I am prepared to rule at this point.
I did have one thing I wanted to raise that I'm not sure was clear before. Ms. Adelson is still under the state subpoena, so I think she could be brought back for whatever additional questions need to be asked.
As to that point, Mr. Kappelman, the ability to extend immunity you have, Mr. Rauschbaum does not. He calls her as a part of her, as a part of the defendant's case. What is your response to that?
I don't know. I mean, we're still in the state's case, so.
Well, the defense can't call a witness within the state's case.
I know, that's a good point. I just wanted to point out that she is still under my subpoena, so if you could create it.
Why doesn't Georgia just say, listen, I'll call her back? I want to ask her some more questions myself anyway, and make Rashbaum sweat with that. That's what I'd do. That's a power play.
That might be a solution. I don't know. It hasn't been proffered what questions would be asked that weren't asked. I don't know what that is, but maybe there's something that could be worked out if that was your Honor's ruling, was that that would be required.
Mr. Rauschbaum, anything else?
Judge, I'll just rest on 9609 Florida rule and its progeny, and Crawford and its progeny, and what I said before.
Very well. Court's ruling is as follows. The defense's motion in limine went to the state's ability as a part of its case in chief to present testimony from Mr. Lacoste that would be hearsay within hearsay. The motion in limine was granted on those grounds. However, the motion in limine and also the court's ruling did not discuss or limit in any way state's ability to present this information as impeachment. Ms. Adelson, at this point, she has testified, she has denied the statement taking place whatsoever. However, as it goes to fundamental fairness grounds, which are also a part of the ruling that has to be.
Hi, Leah. What's going on? She says. Well, they had Jeff on the stand, and Georgia wanted to ask Jeff a question, and the answer that Jeff would give would contradict something that Wendy said to a question in her earlier testimony. So what Jeff said would be used to impeach Wendy, in other words, to show that her testimony was not true. And Rashbaum is saying that that shouldn't be allowed because it was agreed that they weren't going to go into that area, and he's saying it's unfair because he can't call Wendy as a witness because he doesn't have the power to give her immunity for her testimony. Only the state has that power. So Wendy could be called by the defense, but could then plead the fifth and not say anything, which would remove Rashbaum's ability to say that Jeff was the one that wasn't true. It's a bit complicated, but it's a pretty good argument. That's why we're watching it.
Be made. The defense did earlier at sidebar ask if this was going to come up in some way. As it related to substantive evidence, I believe the state responded it was not. The state did not make any representations concerning impeachment. I will find that this did affect the defense's ability or their strategy, at least in examining the witness, as the witness also can invoke her Fifth Amendment right and through a separate pleading has stated through counsel that she will invoke any Fifth Amendment right unless she is being granted immunity for that testimony. The ability of the defense to address this matter is compounded by the constitutional right of the witness and their inability to call her. On fundamental fairness grounds, I'm not going to permit the impeachment on this topic. You may proffer the testimony from there. And if the state is intending to recall the witness at that point, the issue of impeachment may be revisited. Does everyone understand?
Yes, may I make one clarification for the record?
Go ahead.
It's already on the record. We were at sidebar. What I was asked, my understanding of what I was asked is, was I intending to introduce any hearsay within hearsay through Mr. Lacoste? And my answer was that I would not introduce any hearsay within hearsay without exceptions. I think it was clear what I was intending to do was set up an impeachment through Ms. Adelson by drawing her attention to the specific date and time of the statement and asking her specifically if she made the statement, which she denied. I find it hard to believe that that doesn't alert the defense in fairness that that's what I'm intending to do. And that's what I did in the last trial successfully, which the defense in this case was in attendance at. So I think it's unfair to the state, but I understand Your Honor's ruling and we'll be ready to proceed.
Please bring in the witness so we can go through the proffer. Our words are stock and trade. If you are uncertain, Ms. Kappelman, as to what Mr. Rauschbaum was raising, we probably should have clarified it at that point.
Yes, sir.
Please bring in the witness.
I think we might stop there, guys. I think there's quite a bit more to get through. We've got to do the rest of George's direct examination, and then Rashbaum's got quite a lengthy cross-examination of Jeffrey Lacasse because his testimony is so damning to Charlie. And I kind of think it should have its own video. Maybe we'll do a Jeffrey Lacasse clip show few of his different testimonies and compare the same questions from different years, something like that. But yeah, I don't know. Should we finish direct examination and leave cross examination for another day? I think.
I think so.
Also, so we don't have to go through this again, Mr. Rauschbaum, as it pertains to the other rulings in the defense's motion in limine that the court has previously addressed. Although they may not be, certain rulings pertain to the state's ability to present as substantive evidence. You understand this does not affect their ability to present it as impeachment as it pertains to all of the items.
Leah, I'm not even certain that I explained it correctly. It was a bit complicated, but I think we got the idea somehow.
That have been ruled on previously. June and Chimda, meaning everything that we've been previously addressing through these motions.
Well, they still have to follow the extrinsic evidence rule, collateral evidence rule.
My point being, something that cannot come in substantively can still be impeached with. You understand this?
Can, yes.
I'm not saying it's necessarily going to happen.
Right.
But so we're not doing this song and dance about any other matters. All right. If we need to have sidebars and
Song and dance. He didn't like that, did he? Look at him, Rashbaum. Song and dance. My client is on trial for his life. So why'd they send you in, monkey? Yeah, Matilda, pleading the fifth. Matilda says, in her opinion, pleading the fifth or only testifying if granted immunity is really just another way of saying I'm guilty. Yeah, it doesn't make you look good, does it? But the jury are told that that can't be used against them. It can't be used to confer, to infer guilt, you know, which is weird. You know, it might also be the same as just getting up there and saying it wasn't me.
you're attempting to clarify something, if you're asking specifically as to impeachment, you need to be specific as well.
Fair enough, Your Honor.
Ms. Dugan, please bring in Mr. Lacoste.
What do you think, guys? Maybe we should rewrite the Constitution, add a few amendments of our own, metrics amendments, and maybe remove a few of them. You know, we could create a whole new system on this channel and then send it to the president. You know, we've got more states than any singular political party in the US. We've got 43 states, guys. Still need Idaho, still need Utah, still need Wyoming and North Dakota, Delaware, West Virginia, and Vermont and Hawaii. Hey, thanks so much, Sue Lutz, for the super sticker. We really appreciate the support. Hi, Rabbit. Yeah. I'm not treading on the US Constitution, okay? If I say anything that people get upset about, remember that I don't have an opinion. I don't step on anything. And I don't matter, you know? Nothing I say matters. It's all just mild humor from the top of my head for no particular reason at all. That's all it is. So there's nothing to get upset about here, guys. But by the way, the system is broken.
You may be seated, Mr. Lacoste. Ms. Cattleman, you may finish your sequence of questions on the topic you were starting.
Mr. Lacoste, when we broke, we were discussing a statement made to you by Wendy Adelson on July 13th, 2014 at her residence here in Tallahassee. Do you recall which statement?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and what was that statement?
After asking to speak to me confidentially, she told me that last summer that Charles Adelson had looked into all possible options to take care of the Danny Markell problem, including hiring a hitman, and that it would cost about $15,000. I revised the amount. I said potentially that could have been $50,000. I'm unsure of the amount. The rest of the statement, very confident it's true.
So you weren't sure whether she said 15 or 50.
Right.
But she didn't say 15 or 50. She said one or the other.
She said one number that I thought was 15 when I talked to TPD, and I later thought that could have been 50.
Okay, I'm with you. And this statement was made in what context? What was her demeanor?
Well, she asked to speak to me confidentially. She was dead serious about it. It was a chilling statement. I had a reaction to it. My stomach flipped, a little scary, a little weird. So it was a very serious statement she's made.
That's what I'm saying, Rabbit. You just need to go and have some arancini and settle the stomach. Okay. The rice can soak up all that rage, Rabbit. Love you, babe.
Making.
So clearly not a joke.
No, it was not a joke. There are other jokes in that domain. This was completely distinct and discrete from any joke. This was not funny.
And this statement was made within 5 days of Mr. Markell's murder by a hitman.
That's correct.
And was this said in any way in the context of the relocation issue?
Well, what preceded her saying that was a discussion of under what circumstances could she or would she leave Tallahassee? And she stated that the only way to leave Tallahassee was if something happened to Danny. That's what led into the statement I just repeated.
All right. Thank you. That's the proffer, Your Honor.
Any cross-examination concerning the subject of the proffer?
I'm sorry,
Any cross-examination as to the subject of the proffer?
yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
The statement was chilling and serious, right?
Yes,
Did you go to the police?
I did not.
I love when Rashbaum is doing his antagonistic questioning thing. He does it with Katie. He does it with Jeff. You know, he leans right over the podium. I mean, is he standing on a box right now? How is he? He shouldn't even be able to see over that thing. You know? Did you go to the police? with this look of incredulity.
You're so scared about this. The statement was chilling.
What the hell did he just do with that microphone? He adjusted it away from his mouth. Look at it.
The statement was chilling and serious, right?
Yes,
Did you go to the police?
I did not.
You were so scared about the statement that you didn't alert the police the next day, that night.
I did not,
Why not?
because it was a past tense statement, and I thought Charlie was a scary guy, but it was about something supposedly he did last summer. No, I did not know there was a present case.
And Jeff kicks back in this one, doesn't he? He's like, listen, Rashbaum, I've been here for 10 years doing this shit. I don't need you coming up here calling me a liar, okay?
A present instant tense statement, and I thought Charlie was a scary guy, but it was about something supposedly he did last summer. No, I did not know there was a present case, a present instant threat. I did not know Hitman had visited Tallahassee. I didn't have the context.
So the statement comes out and you say, all right, not gonna call the police. Hey, Wendy, you want to go out tomorrow?
That's not quite how it went.
No, you didn't try to go on a date with her the next day?
No, we did go on a date the next day, and then she cut off all contact without barely talking to me on that date. So I didn't have a lot of time to process it, but it was a shocking enough thing that it took a day or two to process. Also, I had repeated that statement to a friend of mine before the murder, and I didn't get a reaction from her like, this is shocking. I sought feedback from a friend who would verify that I made that statement before the murder, and she said, she didn't say, oh, geez, you should call the police. So it wasn't just me. There was another person that I consulted with because it freaked me out, and we decided it was, well, I decided after talking to her, it was past tense. So probably not that dangerous, and we were really wrong. Maybe I should have called the police.
So Charlie Adelson lets you know that he's has friends in the criminal element, the Cuban criminal element, right?
Yes.
And you know that there's a heated dispute between this family. You testified to it today, a heated dispute.
Yes.
About relocation, about divorce.
Well, it's just no longer about relocation. But yes, there's an ongoing litigation for sure.
Right. And then Wendy Adelson tells you that this man who is part of the criminal element really looked into hiring a hitman.
She did say that.
And you thought, I'm not going to go to the police on that. That's your testimony, right?
That's the decision I made. It didn't really cross my mind because of the past tense nature of it. And I consulted with a friend, bounced it off of her before the murder. And neither one of us thought, oh, geez, let's call the police. So it's possible that Charlie is so dangerous that I should have called the police. Yeah, but I did not.
And so at this point in time, your relationship with Wendy Adelson was really bad, right?
It was hard to tell.
It's hard to tell that it was really bad?
It was a roller coaster ride constantly because you referred to the next night, the next day, the 14th. On the 14th, I got a warm, inviting call from Wendy Adelson, eager to spend time with me. Maybe trying to distract me. I don't know. But
okay. Well, we're going to get to the distracting part.
Yeah.
Because that's what this is all about.
But it wasn't in a great, the relationship was not in a great spot. I'll concede that to you.
So
yes.
Your testimony is that when this woman is about to break up with you, when she is avoiding you, when you have just been caught going through her phone and her
how's she avoiding me?
Well,
Mr. Lacoste, you're not here to ask questions.
Yes, sir.
Your testimony is that when you are on the outs with her, which the record will show you were during this time period, that she confides in you the most serious, the most important thing in her life. That's your testimony, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay.
She has a history of boarding out things that aren't in her own self-interest.
Judge, I would ask that to be stricken from the record. It's unresponsive.
This is just a part of the proffer. And if you've reached the end of your cross-examination on the proffer section, we do need to move on.
That's fine, Your Honor.
Mr. Lacoste,
Or actually, Ms. Kappelman, the court's ruling remains the same. You're not to inquire further as to this subject matter. We will revisit later if it comes to it.
Yes, sir.
Please bring back in the witnesses, or excuse me, the jurors.
Okay, I think that's a good stopping point for tonight, guys. Remember to like, share, leave a comment, support the channel, social networks, everything in the description. Love you all. Good chat tonight, guys. Rabbit, go and stand in your freezer. Rabbit's air conditioning has broken down because of a heat wave. That's not a sentence you ever want to hear, is it? Oh. Right. Yeah, we'll pick it up probably tomorrow, guys. Guess we got to finish the direct examination of Jeff Lacasse, and then we're going to have a fiery cross-examination from Daniel Rashbaum of Jeffrey Lacasse, and then we need to think of something else to fill the time, because that's not going to take our whole slot here. But we'll come up with something, guys. Don't worry. Keep coming back. Subscribe to the channel. Remember, Donna Adelson's trial is in September. Then we've got what's her name? Sarah Boone. starting in October, on October 7th. Wow. Oh yeah, and just wanted to give a shout out to our wonderful supporters on buymeacoffee.com. Look at this. We've got a leaderboard, and it's Matt Sherwood. It's Matt Sherwood, all the way from Nottingham Forest with Robin Hood and all his merry men in first place. Then we've got Anne Marie. Thank you so much, Anne Marie. And then third place, Irene B. And then all these lovely people. I was going to do a screenshot with everyone's names, but their email addresses are on the list. So I thought that might be a bit of a faux pas to show that. So we'll leave that for now, but maybe I'll do a, rub out the email addresses somehow and give you all a shout out, because you guys are supporters. You deserve the recognition. We love you. We thank you. Remember, the memberships are in the channel, guys, on the channel page. And social networks. Okay, that's it for tonight, boys and girls. Take it easy. Be kind to each other. Don't be an Adelson. And justice is coming. TikTok, Wendy. And sleep tight, Donna. Okay, see you all later. Bye.